Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to IBM Tech Exchange Dev Days. Um, Now you're attending the session Automating IT Infrastructures with watsonx Code Assistant for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed. With you today, I'm Chetan Hiriholi. I'm the product manager for watsonx Code Assistant for Red Hat Ansible. Joining me is Nathan Hilton. He is the infrastructure lead for product and technology from Ensono.
Hi.
So, in this session, we will be taking you all with the overview of what's an Xcode Assistant for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed. We'll do a feature walkthrough. We have some slides with client focus for Ensono, where Nathan will be taking over how they use Ansible at scale and how they have implementing Gen AI for Ansible creators and developers, and we'll look at their roadmap on how they plan to use Gen AI in 2025. Coming back to the roadmap of WCA, I'll go over the pricing structure for the WCA for Ansible product and some of the next steps on how you can use the product and evaluate the product yourself. IBM's foundation models are efficient and purpose built, maintaining the highest levels of accuracy possible while relying on the smaller computing footprint. These foundation models are also contextual, which means models are trained on domain specific data and can be used for specific business needs and use cases. In addition, watsonx.ai foundation models are trustworthy with data privacy and safety guardrails built in, which helps the clients avoid harmful, biased, or inaccurate results. We use the open source Granite models with all of the products under watsonx Code Assistant. The watsonx Code Assistant product family includes three key offerings. Number one, IBM watsonx Code Assistant, our flagship product designed for general purpose programming, supporting over 116 programming languages. Two, IBM watsonx Code Assistant for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed. This tailored coding assistant is specifically for IT and DevOps engineers. This assistant helps streamline the process of writing Ansible code. And number three is watsonx Code Assistant for Z, a specialized assistant that facilitates the translation of COBOL to Java, designed for mainframe modernization. All products in the watsonx Code Assistant family are built on the watsonx.ai platform, leveraging the IBM Granite Foundation models. Granite represents IBM's premier suite of both open source and proprietary large language models, and these base models used in the products for WCA are open sourced and available on Hugging Face. IBM Research has then fine tuned these base models with additional data to deliver customized solutions, customized models for these specific use cases. Let's go over an overview of what's the next code assistant for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed. So, what's the next code assistant for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed, or I'll be referring it to as simply WCA for Ansible, is developed in collaboration with Red Hat and IBM Research to infuse Gen AI capabilities to the Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform, that is AAP. It simplifies the process of Ansible playbook creation through pair programming with AI in the navigator seat, providing AI generated recommendations. The challenges we see today are automation developers often face inefficiencies due to manual and repetitive tasks. Many organizations struggle with a limited pool of skilled Ansible developers who can create and manage automation content. And ensuring the reliability of the automation content is critical, as clients need to trust the automation processes will perform correctly and securely without introducing any risks. WCA for Ansible addresses these critical client challenges by generating high quality Ansible content with IBM's purpose built Granite code model, accelerate automation scripting with natural language to Ansible AI assisted tasks, match content generated from the model with potential sources for trust and transparency. You can also personalize the content generation via prompt tuning of the base model to implement your organization best practices. And WCA for Ansible, it easily integrates with the Ansible extension on VS Code. This slide gives an end-to-end overview of how WCA for Ansible works. The product meets the developers where they are, with a plugin via the Ansible VS Code extension, where the developers put their prompts directly in the code editor. Prompts are sent to Ansible Lightspeed service, where it anonymizes the data and further sends it to WCA for processing. The suggestions are sent back that are powered by watsonx Code Assistant model. It is important to note that the data in transit is encrypted and transient, so users can be confident to trust the service during the exchange. In terms of data security, customer Ansible playbooks and customized models are stored in customer owned cloud object storage and are not shared with IBM or Red Hat or any other of the IBM customers. So only users have access to that data. Let's check out the key features of WCA for Ansible. Accelerate your playbook creation using task generation. The hazard scenario is that novice Ansible developers are being told what they need to automate. They are unsure which Ansible modules or collections must be used and how to write syntactically correct YAML files. So they tend to do Google search, they spend time reading the documentation and scrolling through Stack Overflow to find the right modules and the right solution, and which makes up their automation goal. With WCA's single task and multitask recommendations, users can create playbook tasks directly from natural language descriptions, making it easier to translate ideas into actionable tasks. Simply write a prompt in plain English and press enter. WCA will return the code recommendation. You can notice that in the GIF in the slide on the left hand side. You write a natural language prompt, you press enter, you get the content recommendation. With WCA's code similarity feature, each recommendation will include a potential match from the model's training datasets, thus providing clarity on its origin, author, and license information. The WCA product also has a pre processing pipeline built in. It anonymizes the prompts to uphold privacy and security standards. It also has a post processing pipeline, which the model output goes through to apply Ansible best practices by linting the output and applying special rules that aligns with the community of best practices through Ansible risk insights. Regarding data security, all prompt and suggestion data is encrypted during transit. Additionally, the prompt data, as mentioned earlier, is transient. It's meaning it's temporary and doesn't persist beyond its immediate use, adding another layer of security. WCA for Ansible understands playbook context. For example, if the playbook uses specific variables or module defaults, WCA will suggest content that aligns with these configuration. This contextual awareness enhances the accuracy and relevance of the suggestions provided, making the development process smoother and more efficient. These screenshots are from the Ansible playbook, whose tasks are generated by WCA. Here you will notice after reading the playbook name, EC2 Cloud Operations, in the first screenshot over towards the left, we can see that the playbook WCA recognizes this, that it's an AWS term and suggests the module amazon.aws.ec2 vpc subnet info. In the later task, it makes references to the variables like image underscore ID, security underscore group, and tags from the variables that are mentioned in the beginning of the playbook, thus improving the overall context so that user uh, defaults and user context are taken into consideration. With WCA playbook generation, Users can leverage a guided experience to generate an Ansible playbook from natural language prompts. What we see today is developers who are new to Ansible take time to scale up learning Ansible and writing syntactically correct playbook files. With WCA's playbook generation feature, this process of writing an Ansible playbook from scratch makes it easier and more efficient. Here, the user gets a simple interface that collects user automation prompts written in English and then returns the outline of the playbook. Upon confirming the outline, WCA then generates a complete playbook for the automation prompt provided. This three-step process of input, review, and confirm offers a simplified approach of creating and understanding the Ansible content generated. Next, the Ansible playbook explanation. This capability allows automation content creators full visibility into explanations of the playbook. The playbook explanation is divided into summary, prerequisite, and task explanations. This increases platform engineering and developer productivity, making it more approachable for new Ansible learners. A common scenario what we see is someone who is new to the team can easily understand the team's older playbooks really quickly. Hence, the TED debt is answered quickly over here. Model customization. Organizations need customization. Every organization has its custom modules collection that are built in-house but are not deployed to Ansible Galaxy and are very private to them. And they look to scale its usage towards internal automation practices. With WCS Tuning Studio, users can customize the base IBM Granite model with their Ansible playbook content for more personalized code recommendation that fit their organization's goal. The technology used for model customization is prompt tuning. Prompt tuning is an efficient, low cost tuning technique that allows training the model with limited data sets compared to hundreds of thousands of samples used in fine tuning. The time taken to generate a custom model depends on how large the training data set is. We recommend training data set contain at least 1000 prompts with 100 prompts with the same module to yield better results. The customized AI models are saved in customer owned IBM Cloud Object Storage and are not shared with IBM, Red Hat, or any other customers. WCS model customization empowers organizations to tune their domain specific LLMs with their own Ansible data. Next one is Ensono. I'd like to invite Nathan for these next couple of slides. Over to you, Nathan.
Thank you, Jim. Hi, I'm Nathan Yelton. I'm infrastructure lead for Ansible and integration here at Ensono. At which point you're probably a lot of you asking who are Ensono. We are a global MSP based in Chicago, just outside Chicago, and I work out of the London office. And so my role is to give you knowledge of who Ensono are. So we have 300 clients, 3,500 experts across the world, and delivering across a wide portfolio of services from private cloud, but private cloud, public cloud, infrastructure as service, and our friends at IBM, the mainframe, IBM Z and IBM mid-range is a big part of our portfolio. To give you an idea of the scale of our mainframe business, we have just over 1.4 million MIPS managed inside our portfolio across over 550 LPARs. So we're doing a lot in a lot of places. If you move on to the next slide, Cheaton. So our Ansible at scale here at Ensono. So Ansible's been in the business here for well over a decade, since very early days of Ansible. In early 2023, we decided to consolidate onto a single Red Hat Ansible automation platform backed on OpenShift with a proven rollout running 100,000 automation tasks per day on average over the last 12 months. We set up a community of practice to encourage users and SMEs to become creators, which we'll cover off shortly. But we're also using Ansible across the entire enterprise here at Ensono. So open systems, where we use it for build, application deployments, incident resolution, but also across hyperscale platforms, private cloud, networking storage, and our IBM Z mainframes and mid-range down there at the bottom. So as you can see, our Ansible platform is out there a lot, but the value of an Ansible platform comes from the content, which is where, next slide, we embrace creators. What we discovered as we went out and spoke to our various SME teams across the businesses, some people don't want to be a developer. But what we realized, there was this need for a creator. SMEs in their own technology stacks being able to create playbook content to leverage this global platform that we've deployed. So building on those personas, we really concentrated on how we can help creators, these clever people that know their technology stack very well and want some help in automating. So we built out some shared hosts on RHEL to give a consistent experience for all of those users. We launched a really good internal site for our documents as code, so people can find and discover the documentation that we want them to worry about. So inside Ensono, we have standards for playbooks that we'd like people to adhere to. Cheaton alluded to, we also have custom collections, we have custom roles of content that we want people to use to minimize tech debt and to standardize the process for everyone out there. We were looking at a nice streamlined process for getting an SME to being an Ansible creator. So if you move on to the next slide, this is where we started working with, and I apologize because I talked to it from both Red Hat and IBM side, what I call Ansible Lightspeed, or WCA for Ansible Lightspeed. I apologize if I mix them up through this. What we discovered is by adding this technology into the creator tools, it gave us some great advantages of onboarding those SMEs at speed. We have some use cases where SMEs had existing legacy technical debt, but didn't have necessarily the skills in Ansible to replace the technical debt with what we're trying to push as a new global standard. This is where we were able to give them access to watsonx, WCA for Ansible, to bring on their knowledge to get that syntax right. If anyone's written a playbook, you know that the YAML syntax, especially for, I'm a Windows refugee originally, I used to be a Windows engineer, things like spacing and capitalization, for some technical people, these things aren't enforced at their operating system levels. So the YAML syntax, we just found some challenges getting people on board with it. And we just found that Watson was really able to help bridge that gap between SME and getting their first playbook written successfully and migrating it through. We've also used it all over the platform. Again, we using some of Cheaton's examples there to describe some of our technical debt. Like I say, Ansible's been in the business for well over a decade. Some of those playbooks just need a little bit of love because the people that have written them may have moved on. They're still good. They just need some bringing up to the latest standards and in line with security. We've been able to use the describe function to explain playbooks from Watson Code Assistant to help us understand what's going on. And I'll sort of chat more on the next slide about this in what we want to do with that in the future. It's given us a real gap. One thing we have discovered, and it's a really interesting one, is sometimes creators or developers can be skeptical of these generative AI assistants, Watson Code Assistant, and we have seen this from our teams. The way we try to reinforce this conversation is it's there to help them. It's an assistant, it's not a replacement, and it's a really important thing to know. I've been writing playbooks myself for nearly a decade. I still use Watson Code Assistant to help me write playbooks quickly. I've had examples in the last month where a playbook I needed to get written, I was able to lean on these generative tools to help me deliver that quicker into the business because that was the need at that point in time. They're for everybody, they're there to help. And what we found is within our community of practice, which is a safe internal space for all of our Ansible creators to gather, is we run some gamification of using the generative AI. We've encouraged users just to try the tool. And I had a great experience with one of my internal users who had probably written in excess of 500 playbooks across their life here at Ensono. So really experienced developer, and he had a quick fix that he needed to do. He used the natural language to generate a playbook, and his quote to me within seconds, I had what I needed to help me move on with my job, which is a great user case, and I was really pleased to see that. So we've been, pushing that AI playbook challenge, as we refer to it, to encourage some of the more skeptical developers to be able to take advantage of these tools as we move in. I'm going to do the next slide. And just where we're pushing our roadmap for 2025, I work with Cheaton and his teams, his very talented teams, on delivering a customized model for Ensono. We have a defined collections internally, which we're never going to put out to Galaxy, so the public models are never going to have the knowledge. We want to be able to embed that knowledge from our community into the generative model. So we're a ServiceNow house for our ITOM platform. What we want to do is we could end up with 500 playbooks with 500 ways of interacting with ServiceNow. By embedding our knowledge and our roles and our modules in there for the customization we want, we're hoping that generative AI can help minimize that tech spread and encourage people to use the same ways, alongside good quality playbook reinforcement and standards through the review process. But it just helps if the generative tools aren't leading people astray from those core suggestions. We've this through. What we're also looking to do, as we mentioned, we've got a lot of playbooks out there, and it's just making sure they're all still fit for purpose. So we're going to use the scanning of those existing playbooks with Watson Code Assistant for Ansible to give us a health check of some of those older playbooks where the developers may have moved on, or there are new modules. We're hoping to be able to generate almost, not just use generative AI to update them all regardless, but certainly be able to give a developer well-rounded story in an agile process for going to look at life cycling playbooks to bring them up to the latest standards and continue to ensure our customers can trust and depend on our platform and services. That's kind of where we are. I hand back to you, Cheaton.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for sharing the insight on how Ensono has leveraged and adopted Gen AI and have enabled the Ansible creators to utilize these Gen AI features of WCA to write Ansible, to accelerate writing the Ansible code. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let me share the upcoming roadmap for WCA for Ansible for 2025. So the first half of 2025, we will be focusing on customization of the 20B model. So we have updated our backend, the base model, to 20B. So we will migrate our prompt tuning technology from the 3B, which was the older model, to the new 20B model. So enabling customization on the newer model, we want to expand the existing feature to Ansible role creation and role explanation. So customers will be able to create and explain new Ansible roles. We will be having a chat interface on VS Code where customers can interact with the Granite model to ask and receive answers related to Ansible content. We are also introducing regional language support for prompting. So customers will be able to prompt and get explanations in some standard set of non-English regional languages. We are also expanding our footprint in EMEA. So currently, Dallas is the only SaaS data center where WCA is hosted. We plan to expand it in EMEA, for Europe, in Europe, in Frankfurt. So that's our goal for the first half. For second half, we are also working towards and exploring how to convert non-Ansible scripts to Ansible playbooks. Customers can bring in their chef recipes their code written in stall stack, and if they want to migrate to Ansible automation platform, WCA for Ansible can help them translate their non-Ansible automation scripts to Ansible playbooks. We also would like to focus on create and explain event-driven Ansible, where customers who want to create and get explanations of event-driven Ansible playbooks can do so. And couple of data center expansions in Japan and London. Let's check out the pricing of WCA for Ansible. So we have three plans for WCA for Ansible. In order to use WCA for Ansible, one must have an subscription to the Ansible automation platform. That's a dependency. So WCA can only be used with a paid version of AAP. There are three plans over here. The trial plan is unlimited usage for 90 days. All you need to do is download the Ansible extension and accept certain terms and conditions, and you can start using WCA for 90 days, and you get access to all the features except customization on VS Code, unlimited consumption of tokens for 90 days. The next one is Essentials plan, where there is a usage fees. So the prices and the plans described over here are SaaS plans. So essentials, all the plans over here, the essentials and standard are pay as you go. And talking about the standard plan, the additional features what you get for standard plan is customization, which comes with an instance fee and the tuning fee. The numbers and cost are displayed on the screen. You can take a look. Okay. So here are the t-shirt sizing of the SaaS plans. So we have differentiated into small, medium, and large, and the approximate cost for instance, resource units, tuning, and total. And some of the sample use cases, what we think for these separate paid plans. For small, the number of cost could be around $14,000 per year, whereas for medium will be $29,000 per year, and whereas for large standard plan it would be around 73,000 up to $73,000 per year. And do note that it's a consumption based pricing approach, that even if there are 10 developers in a team and of which only 5 developers use the tool on a regular basis, the tokens will be only the charge will be only on the tokens consumed rather than a seat based approach. WCA for Ansible is also available in on-premise. So here are the plans, the costs for this, the licenses for an on-prem deployment. And some t-shirt sizing for on-prem deployment as well, where the complete software will be deployed on the customer's network. That means the IBM's model, the tuning software, and the inference part, the complete tech stack will be deployed locally in an air-gapped environment, and customers can completely take use of that on-prem support or on-prem installation. Next steps. So we have two links over here you can use to see WCA for Ansible. You can also we have an interactive demo. You can take a look and at different use cases. We have a beautiful interactive demo with separate streams, which can help you to see how WCA for Ansible is solving challenges. There's also a link which will help you get started with the WCA for Ansible demo. That's it from my end. Thank you everyone for being with the call.
I suppose we could ask if there's anyone with some questions.
Yeah.
In I think one thing to say is to get your hands on this on the product is quite interesting. Whether you're beginning or experienced with Ansible, there is value to be had there as well. Um, we've seen great usage from both novices and experts in the field, all finding their feet using these generative tools to aid their workflows.
Yes, with the a simple start on VS Code, you can really enable WCA really quickly, so that it just unlocks all these WCA features. And since we have the time, I would like to ask some questions to Nathan, like also help everyone see how we already saw how Ensono has adopted Gen AI and WCA, and what's the major benefit did you see, Nathan? Like when you were seeing the Ansible creators, the SMEs using WCA, what's the most important benefit WCA has actually helped?
We found that it's enabled creators to be more self-started in getting going on the platform. Previously, to onboard an SME into Ansible would have required work from my team or another member of the community to go out there and bring them up to speed. We're able to now give a much quick start in sort of 30 minutes, and then let these people go on to discover the platform, uh, which is where we're making like that's where we've really seen the advantage of the platform come through. Um, to answer I've just seen the question from Eric in the chat. Um, we're that's a very interesting one to try and actually get to the bottom of, is where Code Assistant has helped in a specific playbook, um, and where the long-term savings of that come through. And that's something that we're still working with to try and understand where you attribute the savings of a Code Assistant. Is it just in the developer hours in creating the playbooks in the first place, or whether we look across the entire life cycle of that playbook through production? So we're at the moment, we're going through that piece to really understand it. I know that when we roll Lightspeed into our overall Ansible deployment and costings, um, we're we're very happy with the savings, the time savings that we see across the platform holistically. We haven't broken it down. If anyone's looking at Ansible automation platform, you'll be aware it's more than one product. So attributing savings to individual pieces of that is a challenge at the moment, and it's something we work alongside our partners at IBM and Red Hat on at this point. Um,
Thanks. We have a technical question, like what's the use case for Ansible from Vihan? So Nathan, you're the Ansible expert. Would like to quickly describe in few
Are
words?
you asking sort of where we're using Ansible in general? Because we're everywhere where it's possible, is a lot of the case. So we're using the use cases we're using Ansible for are everything from server build, platform build, product installations. We actually use Ansible to manage the Ansible platform as well. So every night we have Ansible build our new Ansible execution environments. We have Ansible then managing server patching, including some really cool sort of art of the possible, because you're allowed to connect to multiple types of devices. So we can take servers in and out of load from an application and patch them and bring them back into load and perform health checks. So rather than users needing to go and do multiple steps in multiple systems, they can just run a playbook to patch an application, and it can go and do those rolling updates through the platform.
Thanks.
Compatibility.
The next one from Ahmed is: are there any compatibility challenges with our existing Ansible playbooks, CI/CD pipelines, or cloud platforms? So I would say no. It's so since the WCA for Ansible, it plugs in with the Ansible extension. So this tool, it's not connected naturally to your environment, but at the same time, speaking of existing Ansible playbooks, you can still utilize, you can open the workspace in VS Code, the older Ansible playbooks, and you can still edit the existing Ansible playbooks with the help of single task, multitask. You can initiate Ansible playbook explanations as well. So it is supporting it will support your existing playbooks. Speaking of CI/CD pipelines, so this does not integrate in Jenkins, for example. You cannot integrate the tool itself or the Gen AI because it is only plugged in to the Ansible extension that is only available on VS Code, as well as cloud platforms. So the model does have the training on several cloud platform modules, like it knows how to give you code for EC2 instance, things like that. So when speaking of cloud platform, I think uh, has a SaaS product. WCA for Ansible is not available in like AWS Marketplace or Azure Marketplace. So it's currently only available on IBM Cloud SaaS, but whereas for on-prem, it's part of the uh, IBM's CPD, that is Cloud Pak for Data. So that's a separate conversation again, where you have to install it, the complete tool on-prem. The second question from Emil: can it effectively manage multiple complex multi-cloud or hybrid environments, specifically with our use of AWS, Azure, vCenter for on-premises? I think yes. The modules, again, the model is trained on separate modules of AWS, Azure, vCenter, and Nathan also just explained how they manage the
Yeah.
infrastructure. So
Yeah, we have clients that are hybrid multi-cloud clients. So they'll be in we have clients that I think are in all of the public clouds, as well as having some on-prem within our data centers as well. Ansible has been a unifying tool on there, and in fact, it's one of the reasons we like the Ansible platform as that tool is it enables us just to treat um, an instance running anywhere as it's just an instance. So one of my favorite ones is if it's a rel instance running in AWS, is it any different from a rel instance that you want to run on-prem in your dev test environment? Ansible allows you to treat those instances exactly the same way, like first-class citizens, which is already good. Could I also just call out, because I've got half an eye on the chat as well, see Scott, the democratization of Ansible and automation is one of those big plays that we've pushed as well. It's what I recognize as the platform owner of AAP is it's great. I love AAP. It does its job. But the way we get more value from that is by getting more of those creators writing playbooks in the team, bringing them up to speed. And that's where we really try to leverage our platform and the Watson Code Assistant.
yeah. So yes, so we just talked about WCA for Ansible. There are other products as well in the WCA family. I think the next session from 1:30 to 2:30, Oscar Hong, who is a product manager for WCA, will be going over the WCA code assistant, the watsonx code assistant. That's a general programming coding assistant. So the coding assistant we just described today and went over the features is bespoke for Ansible. So it's the persona using, or the use cases are the persona is the IT engineers, DevOps engineers who want to manage their infrastructure, want to deploy packages to their servers. So they mainly use Ansible, and the product partnered with Red Hat, who basically invented Ansible. So they are the best ones to suggest us what's the industry best practice Ansible should be. So the output generated by the tool is on par with the industry best practices, and the pre-processing and the post-processing is proprietary. So for example, the output given by the model will always be in, consisting of fully qualified collection name. So that's an example. So with this proprietary pre-processing and post-processing, this makes this tool really unique. And while training and while evaluating the model output, we also have conversations with Ansible SMEs from Red Hat and IBM CIO and the client engineering team. We gather the feedback, we evaluate them in the backend, and we always try to see that the output generated by the model is on par with industry standard, and that's the best Ansible output you can get. Any more questions?
I was just looking in the chat as well. Ian, you asked is Ansible similar to npm. I'm assuming npm's package manager is my understanding. So not really. Yes, Ansible can be used to deploy packages, but it normally utilizes the package manager that exists on the target host. So DNF Yum, if you're talking to Red Hat, or apt if you were talking to sort of more Debian based. It can even push MSIs and aptX packages to Windows as well as you look to that unifying playbooks. We've done a lot of that with Ansible. Of if we have an agent that needs to be deployed, having a single playbook that can then, when it connects to that endpoint, it can grab a hold of the Ansible fact, so it can discover that it's a rel box or a Windows box, and then direct it to the appropriate tasks to do that. And what we've also looked at is using those behaviors to actually ask Watson Code Assistant. So you can say in your natural language to it, you can say, when you connect to this machine, gather the facts, and then if it's a Red Hat Linux machine, do this. If it was a Windows machine, run that, and it would be able to distinguish between the two to give you what you're looking for. I think that answers your question. If it doesn't, I don't know what you mean by npm.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I was going to say there's two more just coming in.
Mhm.
And that's one for you, Cheetan.
Yeah. So Emmett says, can we customize or retrain the model with our proprietary playbooks or infrastructure configuration to improve accuracy? Yes. So WCA for Ansible's standard plan comes with a tuning studio. So with that tuning studio, the process is you get your Ansible playbooks together, parse it to create a training data set. We use that training data set to prompt tune the model, and the customized model will be containing that information, that private information with that you have uploaded, so that the model output from that customized model will have that proprietary information. Like, it will have that coding pattern, coding structure, what your team follows, the modules that your team has developed. It will start recommending that particular code. Yes. So the answer is that yes, you can customize and retrain the base Granite model. The next question from Muhammad Ali is, how can we utilize it for individual projects? Example, if we want to host a server at home, how can we use it to automate any tasks? So WCA for Ansible, yes, you can use it. Currently, it only supports if you have an AAP subscription. It doesn't support for a open source Ansible. So that's a requirement perspective on point. But yes, it can help you to write those Ansible playbooks. For example, if you have an automation goal in mind to, okay, let's host a server at home. We need to host and deploy an HTTP on Apache web server. So using Ansible playbook generation, you can just type in what your automation goal is, what you need to do, sentence by sentence, and the model grabs that automation prompt and gives you a complete playbook structure. Currently, this the feature. So currently, this is what you get when in terms of generating automation commands in Ansible content. Going forward, we are trying to we will introduce the chat feature where you can interact more with the model and also get further steps on what you need to do, not only the playbook explanation. Hopefully the chat will also help you in telling you what are the steps you need to deploy, take this generated playbook, and what are the next steps you need to do. So that is planned for this year 2025, where we are hoping the chat feature will help you automate, give you a list of instructions as well to do it. Next question from Ahmed. How does it handle deprecated or unsupported modules in generated playbooks? So the post processing involved, the proprietary post processing, that the pipeline that team has built will take care of that. So if it is constantly getting updated. The rules that are present in post processing, they're updated on a timely basis. If it detects the model training, it if it detects there's an older module coming in, it tries to replace it with a newer module and give back the suggestion. Also, the model, we plan to refresh the model. uh, the current plan we have is once a quarter or once in 6 months. So this model refresh will will deprecate the older modules. It will take the newer data from Ansible Galaxy, retrain it, and it will have the better, I would say, updated data in terms of getting the content suggested from the updated modules. Yes, so that's how we plan to handle unsupported or deprecated. It's via post-processing pipeline. Yes, we do handle it. It's via post-processing pipeline and regular model refreshes. The next question from Scott is it possible to train WCF or Ansible on third-party Ansible libraries? For example, if you have a library of Ansible playbooks from Microsoft or Palo Alto or Juniper, yes, you can train from your third-party libraries. The tuning process is there. You will have to have some set of Ansible playbooks that the we would think the Ansible model has already seen that data. If the Microsoft or Palo Alto, so the playbooks you're describing, if they are publicly available in Ansible Galaxy, the model might have already seen it. So it's only prompting in a way that constructing a prompt where what kind of playbook you really need. So based on the prompt, it can suggest those specific playbooks for Microsoft or Palo Alto or Juniper. If they're really private by your organization, the only way for the model to teach the model to do that is via customization. Uh, in the upcoming model refresh, which is planned for second quarter or first half, is enabling certified and validated collections in the model training. So currently the model is not trained with the certified and validated collections. We are speaking with a legal team just to enable that knowledge in our model. So that's planned. The upcoming model refresh, we are planning to add these certified and validated collections. To add more context around what are these certified and validated context are, uh, there are Red Hat partners like Ensono is a partner. Like they can upload their, for example, they have built their own custom models which they think is proprietary to them, which can help other developers out there. So they can certify it and they can become those validated certified partners and publish their collections in Galaxy. So you can find these certified collections like certified from Cisco, certified from Microsoft, so things like that. So you will also get access to those. Today, access to these certified and validated collections are only to those who are AAP subscribers. So it's not also generally available. Next question. Um,
Uh,
yeah, yes, Nathan.
I was going to say that that next one from Ahmed seems to be that's more of an Ansible platform. So yes, I would recommend go to speak to Red Hat around integrating with performance monitoring tools. They have event-driven Ansible, which can react to performance monitors to then trigger your Watson Code Assistant generated playbooks on the other side of the Ansible automation platform. I'm a big fan of the platform as well in general, so I'd recommend going to look at some of the Red Hat content on how you integrate Ansible generally into those sorts of workflows on that one.
Mhm. Lightspeed uh, and WCA. Like Lightspeed collects some basic metrics. So if you ask what is Lightspeed, Lightspeed is just a Gen AI component of AAP. It's just a connector that enables Gen AI capabilities on AAP. So Lightspeed connects certain operational metrics when you start using WCA for Ansible, like what's the most common module returned by the model, like what's the amount of acceptance versus rejected prompts. So there are certain operational metrics also which are captured while you use the tool, and these are only captured by Red Hat extension. So you can again, yes, of course, disable and enable them on the extension side, extension settings. But yeah, the AAP also comes with certain KPI dashboards, monitoring dashboards that really help you see how the tool is also being utilized.
I would also just say just one last. I know we're about to wrap up. I do apologise, Holly. Um, One thing to note is when Watson for Lightspeed generates playbook, it drops you into Visual Studio Code where you can still have any existing
Mm.
Ansible linting to enforce. You know, if there are rules already present for coding standards in your environment, you can still conform that code using Ansible lint. This isn't just injecting playbooks directly into the platform and running them regardless. This is an assistant to help you generate better playbooks or quicker to generate those playbooks. Still the same with most people when it comes to generative AI. You use anything generatively uh, from generative AI with caution as a guide rather than necessarily an absolute. So always make sure you're still adhering to your own internal processes for coding standards and everything with anything AI generated on the other side. It's great, but there may just be a few tweaks that you can push using tools like Ansible Lint to make sure that those existing rules and controls that you have in place are adhered to as well. And obviously, we would always then move it through a release process through to get it to a production branch. So I see Watson Code Assistant is on the shoulder of the developer or the creator, but they're ultimately it's still the developer or the creator that's going to do that commit to source control for that playbook to then go and run in our client production environments.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think if there are no more questions, we are good to wrap up.
Thanks for your time. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Cheaton, for inviting me along. Hopefully, we'll see a load of content get generated out of this.
Yeah. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for giving insights on how WCA is used within Ensono. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation and got some info out of it on what is WCA for Ansible and the various features it offers. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.